This meeting is being recorded.
Got it.
Okay, so it's Kate Floss, the influencer, talking in exile in Bangkok, saving New Zealand while I'm in exile in Bangkok, and talking with Sharon, who's in my Oreo team, Kate Floss and the Oreo team, and we have been fighting. We've been watching the common law people for a very long time.
Yes.
Some people have been working for 20 odd years in the common law groups, and what they've been saying is that every time they try to go in the court, that the corporation stops them and says to them that we're a corporation and you're not allowed to go to the court because you don't have a lawyer. The lawyers and the solicitors cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars and nobody knows what to do. But we all knew as common law people that there was some way, somehow, that we were supposed to be able to hold our parliamentarians accountable and call them. Yes, and what we've got is the 16. A lot of people think that Her Majesty the Queen is just sitting there looking pretty.
Yeah,
that's what they think, don't they, Sharon? But
yes, they do.
They do, and she's sitting there for a very, very important reason.
Very important.
Yeah, very important. The reason why she's sitting there is she holds up the 1688 Bill of Rights above man-made laws. That's what she does. We have a thing called the 1908 Declaratory Judgment Act, and we've also got a thing called the 1908 Bills of Exchange. Now, this is just, the common law is very, very different from American law. They are not the same. The Americans are inalienable rights because they're aliens in America. But our 5 Commonwealth, specifically our English Commonwealth countries, we are not inalienable.
No.
Her Majesty Queen Victoria made negotiations with the natives for us to come and be as a protective. We were the human shields to protect them from all of the people that were trying to take their countries. Now, when Her Majesty sent us out onto the lands to protect all the native people and protect their countries, when Her Majesty did that, agreements were signed first. And one of those agreements was that the power of governance would be in the hands of the people. Yes, of the people. And one of the things that our New Zealand Maori paramount chiefs did together with the Germanic tribes was to make an agreement that the descendants would always have the power to call parliamentarians to the court whenever they were not upholding the oath of 1688 Bill of Rights. And that's why the Majesty is there. She sits there. Her Majesty is not allowed to interfere with our Parliament. But when we call her to the Parliament, when they're not upholding the oath, we're permitted to call her. And then that's when her armies and her privy councils all come in to help us in our infant state. So she's our mother. We call her the mother. And we call the mother. Now, as everybody knows, Kate Floss did go to the court and I got struck out by Cook J. And then they said, and this is how I found another case of Jacinda Ardern. Jacinda Ardern is not important, but I have found this applies to any parliamentarian. Okay, so we've called them in. And so what has happened is that they said that we are a corporation and you're not a lawyer, you're just a lowly person and you're just a lowly, unintelligible commoner, that's the word, a lowly, unintelligible commoner. And we don't hear you in the court. We think that you're not worthy of us. But God in the 1688 says otherwise. God says that the power will be with us under the natural law. All right. So what had happened was and I had been quite caught up in the court, and I was at a bill of around about $11,000 to get this in the court. And it started out on 5, but they pulled all sorts of skullduggery. But we have called in, so we've got Chief Nene at the top. Chief Nene was the paramount chief
Chief.
who worked together with Queen Victoria. You'll see Queen Victoria over there. That's Queen
Yeah.
Victoria and Chief Nene. And they worked together to put these documents in place in New
Together.
Zealand. They
Yep.
knew this day was going to come. And they said, we're going to put you together. We're going to make it so that neither one of you can sell each other out. The
Yeah.
Anglo people can't sell you out, and the native people can't sell you out. And they put us together and they said, I'm going to send you 2 by 2. And this is Noah's Ark, you see. This is
Yes.
all about Noah's Ark.
Noah's
And
Ark.
animals went in 2 by 2, hurrah,
Yeah.
hurrah. So we were set 2 by 2, and we were going to watch each other's backs.
X.
And when one of us did a dirty on the other one was going to have power. And when the other one did a dirty on the other one, they were going to have power.
Yeah.
And this is how it all works. And it's all held up by Chief Nene and the Majesty, you see.
Yeah.
So we called in Jacinda Ardern, Chris Farfoy, Ashley Bloomfield, and Andrew Little. And we've called them in. To answer to section KII of the Human Rights Act that says that New Zealand will be bound to any international instrument, meaning they can put us under United Nations law, American law, any law that they want. And so we've called them in to ask them about that. Secondly, we've called them in about the electoral law. Section 55 says that dual nationals aren't allowed to work in our parliament.
It's
Why
right.
aren't 50% of the people working in parliament are dual nationals? Isn't that right,
Yep.
Sharon?
That
And
is
the reason
You're so right.
that's so right. That's so live right. And then, and the reason why dual nationals aren't allowed to work in our parliament is because when they do bad to our country, they can just up and leave, and we can't.
Yeah.
We're not able, they're not of subject status, and so we're not allowed to call them to the court. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why dual nationals that are not of subject status under the common law aren't allowed to work in our parliament, because we're not
Yeah.
able to call them to court, and we're not able to call them to account. So
Yes.
that is why. Now, Section 55AA of the electoral law, Section 55 says dual nationals are not allowed in our parliament, and Section
Yes.
55AA says that dual nationals are allowed.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, well, you can't have both of those in one law, but both
Yeah.
of those, and including Section KII of the Human Rights Act, those 2 laws are repugnant to our supremacy law.
Yes.
Yes.
Our
So
1688.
yes, our 1688 supremacy says that foreigners aren't allowed to govern over us. Now, that all ties into the 1835 Whaki Pūtanga, which says that the chiefs will not allow foreigners to govern over us in this land. So our documents are a series of documents.
Yes.
No one document holds power. The powers, the chiefs, the paramount chiefs, and Her Majesty Queen Victoria and King William, they all knew that one document wasn't going to be enough for us.
Enough. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
right. And they gave us a series of documents that if this one failed, the next one would block them. If this one failed, the next one would block them. If this one failed, the next one would block them. And they gave us a series of, I think we're up to, let's say we've got the Whakaputanga 1830, we've got the Treaty of Waitangi, 1840, and then we've got the 1843 German Settlers Act, which brought in the Union Bank and the Queen Victoria Trust. So that's what locked up all our money, and all the people on there were given power. That each of us in Australia and New Zealand, there are certain groups that were in our countries in 1843 that were given the power to rule. In 1908, declaratory judgments act.
Judgment
We
Act.
think there are 10. Then we've got the 1908 Declaratory Judgment Act. We've also got the 1865 Native Rights Act.
Yes.
We're thinking there's a power of 10. We've got the 1908 Bill of Exchange, and we've got the 1908 another Native Rights Act to protect your lands. We're thinking there's a power of 10. We're up to a power of 7. But we think there's a power of 10. So those are 7 documents. We've actually got a few more, but I'm not going to mention them. And they're all held up high above man-made laws, and they trump everything.
Everything. Yep.
So we went to the court. I'm going to get to the exciting news now, Sharon. We went to the court and called them all to court, and everyone said to us, it can't be done. You cannot know how many common law people said to us, it can't be done. You can't call them to court. They're a false crown. They're a corporation.
Yes, yes.
I've got news. I'm going to show you, Sharon. I've had a letter from the court.
Cool.
All right. I've had a letter from the court. And can you see my screen there, Sharon?
I can see it.
All right. So it says here, Catherine Ann Sextus, that's me.
Yes.
Right. Oh, where is it? I've lost it. Hang on. I'll put this over here so I can see it. All right.
Appearance.
So Catherine, is that big enough for you, Sharon?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
All right. So I don't think I need to show that. All right. I'll just show that bit. So Catherine Ann Sextus is the appellant. That's me. And the respondents are Jacinda Ardern, first respondent, Chris Farfoy, second respondent, Andrew Little, third respondent, Ashley Bloomfield is the fourth respondent. Okay, these are the 4 respondents.
Excellent.
And, we're only calling them in to ask them about a point of law.
Yep.
We're not under any prosecution or any crime, but we're permitted in our common law, we're permitted to call them into the court and ask them questions about a point of law if we want to. And then you'll see here is called a notice of appearance. And so this is a notice to tell us that I call them the Ardern Group. This is a notice of appearance that the Ardern Group will be coming to the court in person to meet Kate Floss. They're coming, Sharon.
They're coming. They are coming. Well done, Kate. Well done.
Okay, so they're coming to the court and they're going to be making an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And so here they've said to us, the respondents, Jacinda Ardern, the lawyers for the contact are Peter Gunn, who is the Crown Solicitor. Let's remember to announce them. And Miss Rebecca McMenamin. And they are both we have met them, and they've already came to meet us, haven't they? And
they have.
People, very, very, very lovely people. But they thought they got us struck out, and we come back swinging with our shield, didn't we, Sharon?
Yes, we did. We did. Our shields and our firehouse, Kate, and our medals. Yes.
And we came back swinging, didn't we?
We
did. And so then the registrar of the Court of Appeal, the respondents, Jacinda Ardern, where have you gone, Sharon?
I'm here.
All right. Jacinda Ardern, Chris Farfoy, Andrew Little and Ashley Bloomfield have given us notice of appearance in respect of this appeal. Look, he's doing a little dance. He's doing
laughing.
Aren't you? Do a little dance because I'm saving New Zealand for you. I'm doing this for you and the future generations. so that when these rotten buggers get up to no good, yes, I'm doing this for you, for the children, so that when you grow up, they're not going to be able to do terrible things to you. So make sure that you teach about the Queen at the school.
Yes.
So they will have their appearance. And then look, they've given us 4 addresses. The respondent's address for service of all documents or notice in connection with the appeal is the Crown Law Justice Centre on 19 Aiken Street, Wellington. Well, that's a 616.
Yes, it is.
And that's a 1611 of the King James Bible.
It
So
is.
that's Roman, and that's a 616 right there, Sharon. And the documents for service on the respondents may be left at this address if we so choose, or we can post it to the solicitor at 2858 Wellington 6140. Well, that is also that's a 61. That's a 61, and then if we add it up, that's 16. Or it can be left at the document exchange for direction to this one here at Wellington Central.
Did you get you some water, Kate? Well done, Kate. Well done.
I think God gave me the COVID.
You got too excited.
Got too excited. Anyway, are you still on the share screen? Yeah.
Yes, we are.
All right. So, and they've given me their own personal telephone, 0272015421.
Oh my goodness, we never got those before.
No, we never did. They wouldn't even give us any acknowledgement.
Exactly.
Because they have never acknowledged that we had any right. Can you see me now, Sharon?
Yes, I can.
They have never acknowledged that we had any right to be there.
Yep.
Or that they've never acknowledged that we were even worthy of speaking to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
They haven't. They have just said, you've got no jurisdiction to come into our court. And they basically said, because I actually found another case that another man had taken Jacinda Ardern to court, and he had been thrown out because of the same thing. They said he was unintelligible and that it had no jurisdiction. They said exactly the same thing as what they said to me. But nobody had used the 1908 Declaratory Judgment Act, which is what I had used, which is very, very different from what they've been using. They've been trying to get in on that 1990 United Nations Workers' Rights. And they haven't been using the correct common law of the 1688 Bill of Rights and the 1908 Declaratory Judgment Act. They haven't been using those. Mm-hmm. But there is another issue as well. You have to be of subject status to be able to use these documents. So you can't use them if you don't acknowledge that you're a subject, then you simply can't use them.
Yeah.
You've got to use United Nations laws. So some of the people that have been trying to get through, they haven't been allowed to get into the heavenly realm because they're not of the heavenly status.
Yes.
See, it's quite possible that many of them haven't been able to get in because they haven't acknowledged their subject status. So that's why they're not getting in.
See, and that's why I still want to go and get my subject status.
I do think that we're permitted to go and do that. Yes. We'll get this one through.
This one first, yes.
And then I think that we can actually go and get a declaration for entire tribes.
Cool.
For tribes that want to go back under those protections and stay under those protections, we will be able to do that.
Cool.
So, because we can question the United Nations, where they've put many of our New Zealand natives have been put under the United Nations, not
Refugees.
realising that
Yeah.
they were made refugees.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it was a very sick and terrible thing to do to our native people. And I'm sure that they didn't understand what they were giving up.
Yes, exactly.
What we've shown.
I knew what we had given up.
Sharon knew. The older
Wait, do I
ones
want to
know.
be under? Yes.
The older
Yes.
ones know, but the younger ones don't know.
Don't.
Because they're only 18, 19 years old, and that's who they've targeted.
Yes.
They targeted all the young people, and they said, never mind the old people, let's target the young people, and they have deceived them to give up. I'm sure that they didn't realise that with their subject status,
They were giving up their native rights.
it gives you the power at any time, even as an individual, as one person, or as one tribe, to go to the court on a point of law, if it's repugnant, and say to the court,
it's
we
repugnant.
want to call the Prime Minister and we want to question them about this law. That gives every single one of you the right to do that.
Yes.
But if you go under the United Nations, you've lost that right.
Yeah.
You actually have lost that right, because
Yeah.
you've removed that. Well, not you, but they have removed their subject status.
Yes, they have.
And you need your subject status to be able to do that. So I'll just have a quick show to them again of the Declaratory Judgment Act. So they just know. I'll put them both up, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to show them the point of law that I'm disputing, because that'll come up later.
Yeah.
But I'm just only going to show them their 1688 Bill of Rights. Now, this is called the BOR, and the 1990 is
and
called
it's not an act.
It's not an act.
Yeah.
And they've been lying to you. They've been lying to you and telling you that New Zealand has no constitution, and this is just not true.
It's not.
No. We certainly have a constitution, and our declaratory. Our constitution is very different from the American Constitution, because you'll see, right, I'll show you in a minute, because our Constitution allows us, it allows one person to call the Prime Minister in and say, I'm questioning this point of law.
Yes.
One, which is very, very different from the American Constitution, which allows groups to take the Senate to court. So you need senators to take the Senate to court. You can't just go to the Supreme Court as an individual in America, but we can.
Yeah.
And you can be just a commoner person like me, from the lowest area of life. I mean, I am Jenny from the block, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I have a high school grade 4 education, and I'm not that bright, but these laws are set so simple that anybody can use them, and we're permitted to do this. And so they've been like, so I'll go to share screen and I'll show you what I've got here. So the first thing that we'll go to is our 1688 Bill of Rights here.
Yeah.
And so this is our 1688 Bill of Rights. And this is actually our Constitution. And this can't be removed from us. It's actually a forever document, and it can't be removed. Now,
it's a forever living document.
It is a forever living document. It is a living, breathing document. Now, the United Nations, in their universal rights, is also a forever document, but this one is quite good here because this one has got a way that you can remove other forever documents if you don't want to be a part of them.
Yep.
You can go to, hang on. You can do here, you can do IAB, do sincerely promise and swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Majesties King William and Queen Mary. So help me God. And
Yep.
so if you want to, if you got yourself caught up as a refugee in the United Nations, you can go and use this and get a new declaration
Yes.
under the Declaratory Judgment Act, and you can take back your subject status.
Yes.
Okay. And under this here, it says, I do declare that no foreign prince, person, prelate, state, or potentate ought to have any jurisdiction, any power, any superiority, preeminence, or authority, ecclesiastical or spiritual, within this realm. Now, this is in line with the Whakaputanga. This is why they signed it, because it prevents anybody from coming in and taking over your country. So this is why you're in here. And the United Nations has duped our native people to take on refugee status,
Yep.
and take on refuge and renounce their subject status, saying that it's not part of your culture. But you're all half Anglo, so you
Yes.
all get your subject status through your Anglo
Yes.
side, and you get your Maori status from your Maori side. So you're very lucky you get two. I only get one.
I just want to bring up a point there too, Kate. Majority of New Zealand think the Queen's done nothing. If they read that supremacy law properly, she's not supposed to. She's not allowed to. They are not allowed. That's why they left it to the government of old, the governments that we knew back in our days, our chiefs, all of them. It was left to them to sort out shit. She only came in to protect us. That was all she was to do.
Her Majesty is not allowed to interfere in our own country's governance. She said to the Maori and the Anglo people, I'm going to put you 2 by 2.
Yeah.
So she could see that the New Zealand Maori weren't able to manage.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm going to put you together. You're going to be married together and you can never be separated. Yeah. And she said, and then she's not allowed to interfere.
Exactly.
But if our governments go rogue and try to take our country away from us, or try to divide our country, or try to divide the covenant between our two people, she gave us this law here that we could call her.
Yes.
She said, if you ever get in trouble, if you're ever in trouble, you can call me, but you have to call my name. So you have to call my name. And then in order to do that, because it says down here that it gave them a limitation. It said, this is the limitation of the Crown and how they must govern you. And it says that they must prevent all questions and all division within the realm. So there must never be a question of a dividing of our country. That's
so right.
Because we're all becoming confused.
Yes.
And so, and by reason of any pretended titles of the Crown, that's the United Nations.
Yeah.
And for preserving a certainty in the succession thereof. So there must be a certainty of the succession of our covenant to protect each other. So we have to protect each other, all right? And then she said, and in and upon which it is unity, peace, tranquility, and safety. they aren't allowed to rule us by division. And that's
No.
what they're doing. They're ruling us by division. And that's against the law because it causes confusion and it causes us to not be in tranquility with each other. And that's against God because God said that we should be living in peacefulness and happiness, not fighting against each other.
Yep.
And this division that they've caused. So then it says here that it is pleased Almighty God, all right?
Yep.
So the ones that I'm taking to court is that there's many here, but the main thing that I'm using is that they are removing our subjects. They're removing our arms from us. And what is our arm? Is not guns. Our arms is the power to take prime ministers to court and ask them about questions of law. That is the arm of power that we have as an individual. And that's been removed from us. And as you can see, for the last 20 years, they have been blocking common law people time after time after time, saying, no, you can't come to the court. And that's illegal. They have to let us come to the court. So the way that we do that, now you see this declaratory judgment acts here. That we've got it, it's in New Zealand legislation and it's also in Australian legislation. So the Australians have got it and we've got it, Scotland's got it, Ireland's got it, England's got it. And our one in New Zealand, which is the same, and this one says, I'm not going to read it all, but I'll go to the main point. It's a very short document. It's only 13 sections long. It's very, very short. And what it says here, when any person, that means any individual, desires to do an act or to have any questions about the validity, the legality, or the effect of which depends on a construction or the validity of any statute or any regulation made by the Governor-General or by any local authority. This can even be for just only articles or memorandums or anything that is any document that is evidenced by writing that is repugnant to our 1688, and there are many being put forward at the moment. We have the right to go to the court and send a summons to the Prime Minister, yes, to the Prime Minister or whoever. Can you still see that?
Yes.
Any Prime Minister, we have the right to call any of them to court to question them about that law. And I will just quickly put up the law that I'm questioning, which is the Human Rights Act. Now, this has been done in Australia, and it's been done in England and Scotland and Ireland, and they're trying to make us leave the majesty and become republics. And the fact is that they can't make us republics. We're all joined together. And they're trying to divide the Commonwealth is what they're doing. And one of the problems here is in section 5, and then if you see section 5 and you go to KII, it says here the desirability of New Zealand becoming bound by any international instrument on human rights. That means if they want to say, well, they've said you have to give them houses, you have to give them jobs, you have to give them pensions, you have to give them schools in their own language, you have to give them ministries in their own language, and it's all paid for by you.
By us, yep.
All paid for. None of their countries are doing that. Only the Commonwealth countries are having this forced on them. And it's not being forced on anybody else in the world. So that's the law that I've decided to go to the court and question them about. And that's what I'm going to question them about, Sharon.
Yes, yes.
Right. And that's it. So
Cool.
that's pretty good, isn't it?
That is lovely. You've had bloody good news, all right.
Very good.
All our tupuna are all looking down on us.
They are. They're watching, and I think they really are watching us, and they're saying they went through many wars and many
Yes.
hard times. The heads of their paramount chiefs were decapitated and
Yes,
sent off to other countries. Their people were put into slavery and sent to work on the missionaries' farms.
yes,
Anglo people were sold next to the pigs at the marketplace.
yes,
Our two peoples, even in Ireland, even in Germany, when the Germanic tribes by the Romans destroyed the Germanic tribes, the Anglo tribes were destroyed by the religions, and then they all went out into New Zealand and the islands, and they decapitated people and they put people into slavery.
yeah,
And our people have been through a great deal. And we all said we all want to govern ourselves, and we want the power to take our governments to the court, and we want to make our own laws. And when you make laws that are repugnant, we want the power as an individual to take you to court, didn't we, Sharon?
that's right.
And they fought hard for that from 1820 through to 1908. It took all those years. It took around about 100 years.
Yes, yeah,
to put all of these documents in place for the descendants. And
yes,
we must not let them destroy it in
No.
30 years. What took 100 years of pain, sorrow, a lot of deaths, a lot of people
Yes.
died. We cannot let them just destroy that
No.
in one day and bring
Not
in
when our
those
tupunas
refugees.
fought for it. So just to put a
No.
plug in there for the Queen, love her or hate her, she did not say that Māori couldn't rule themselves. They were allowed to, because we had it. Back in my time, we had it under Native Affairs. Māori Native Affairs, we had that. Why the Māoris let it go that time is beyond me, but she cannot be blamed for everything that happened back then. She can't, because if you look at it, Māori factions all over the areas were fighting amongst themselves. Some were fighting for the British, and some were fighting because they wanted the land, and it didn't matter which area they wanted it, and that was all stopped. So other Māori areas couldn't come and encroach on yours. So love her or hate her, she put in those protections as well as our tupunas. Not her fault at all that she left a governance in place. How was she to know that governance was going to rip everybody off? How would she to know that? It's like somebody killing somebody on my property. I'm liable because it's my property. If you know what I mean, I got the blame because it was on my property. She's getting the blame because of her government that she left behind to govern us went rogue.
Well,
So-
the Maori went rogue too. No, the leaders that were in with the missionaries, they went rogue together, because they're in
Yes.
this together. Because we no matter which direction our country goes in, whether you go the New Zealand native side, or you go the UN side, or you go the American side, no matter which, we are joined at the hip.
Yeah.
We can't move without the other one.
The other.
There's a Maori seal and there's an Anglo seal.
Yes.
Nothing gets past the Maori seal and nothing gets past the Anglo seal. But usually you've got usually you had a good set of native Maori
Yes.
that held the seal and wouldn't let the
And held
Anglos
it true.
start,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
otherwise you had a good set of Anglos who
Yeah.
held the Anglo seal, and
And they
wouldn't
held
let
it true.
Maori. But unfortunately, we have come to a point in our time where the Maori seal rogue people and the Anglo seal rogue people have joined a perfect storm together. They've
Yes.
joined together, and both seals are sealing things that are not
Not
supposed
that
to
are
be.
repugnant against our
Yeah.
1688.
And they've thrown us all under the bus.
They
to get
certainly
what
have.
they want. So both sides, but so there's a perfect storm going on.
Yes.
And what we've got to do now is stand together as the people and rise up together, as we did. We rose together in 1840. We rose together in 1860 when we had the Marama conference. We've risen together as a people. We've risen together many times.
And we need to do it again.
Again.
Yep.
And who knows which direction that New Zealand will go in. You can go any direction that you want. You might want to be called Aotearoa. I really don't know. But we should all have the opportunity to put in our 2 cents worth.
Exactly.
And we should also make sure that everybody understands very clearly
yes.
what we're removing. You know,
I totally agree.
You know exactly what you're removing. And one of the things that you're removing is the power as an individual to take Parliament people to court over points of law. You won't have that under American law or United Nations law. You will not have it. So
actually, we should do
we
should do a video on that. Make people aware of what they're going to lose.
Well, we're doing it now, Sharon.
Yes, but I mean in detail. I mean, you lose your birthright, you're cutting your umbilical cord, you lose your subject status, it doesn't give you rights. You all go under United Nations or whoever the hell we go under.
They will be able to write any laws that they want and you'll have no power.
Exactly.
You'll have none. So we'll have to do that. But that's going to be the end of this. I'll stop this video and then we'll come back for chat. But
I
anyway,
thought you were going to have questions and answer with Maxine in them.
Yeah. I'm going to stop this video. This is the one we're putting up.
Okay. Yep.
Say goodbye. So bye-bye from
Goodbye.
And bye-bye. I'm only going to stop the recording. All right. Bye, everybody. Smile, Sharon. Hang on. Smile for the camera. Are you ready? Big smile.